Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. I'm one half of your Wired to Change coaching team. Trinity is on assignment in Michigan, rednecking it with her friends in their Jeep. They drove from Raleigh, having a good time. She was on our BNI meeting, Zoom call, sitting in the front seat of the Jeep, sketchy connection up there, but we had fun chatting with her for a minute. She's up there. But anyways, our goal as your business coach is to help you grow your business to the level you want it to be so you can enjoy the life of a small business owner. And each week we bring in wonderful small business owners that can help drop all kinds of nuggets on you. And this week we've got Sarah Clark Elliot. Sarah, how are you today?
Doing pretty good.
So Sarah and her husband, Stephen David. So is he Stephen David because there's some movie star named Stephen Elliott?
He's Stephen David Elliot because it's the most Googleable.
Okay, say that one again now.
So if you look up Stephen Elliott, if you Google Stephen Elliott, there's a whole bunch of Stephen Elliots. If you Google Stephen David Elliott, there's just one.
Oh, that would make sense. And it's Elliot with one T.
Yes, two
Yes.
L's, one T.
Oh, that makes perfect. See, you two are ahead of the curve. I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed. So here's a quick rundown of Sarah, who, by the way, has the dog napping on her lap on the couch, which is just hysterical to know that we're so interesting. Even the dog won't wake up. How old is the dog?
She is 5, I think. She's a rescue, so they weren't exactly sure how old she was when we got her, and she had some health issues when we got her, so now she is a cardiologist, and so the cardiologist said, I think she might be a little bit older than that, but 5 or 6 or so.
And what is her name?
She is Mary, and she is an English Bull Terrier, so she's the same kind of dog as the Target dog, or General Patton's dog, or Chico from Next Friday. Silly looking things, but they're awesome.
How many other dogs in the house?
Just one, just her.
All right. Well, this is our second show on Zoom. So we seeing how this one's going, and we're both relaxing in our houses, having a good time, just chatting. So far, so good. Here's a quick rundown of Sarah's bio so far. These are current jobs she is managing. Vice President of Operations for Rockstar Connect, Client Relationship Manager for Stephen David Elliott Group, and Support Manager for North Hills Networking. Basically, you are a combination between a juggler and the Wizard of Oz, right?
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's pretty appropriate. Yeah.
Because pay no attention to you because we won't understand all the 100 things you make happen in about an hour time frame, right?
Right. Right.
Now, so your job at the Rockstar Connect, and people can go to rockstarconnect.com and find all the cool events in 85 plus markets around the country. Your job is behind the scenes, keeping everything flowing. Would that be a safe assumption?
Yes. And to make sure that when we have an issue, it's resolved to everybody's satisfaction, which is a big part, Things don't always end up working flawlessly. And when you've got a lot of people supplying the labor and doing the work, sometimes things don't happen the way they were promised. And you just have to have somebody there to say, this is my fault. It's my responsibility. It's not even a fault, really. It's my responsibility. I understand it didn't meet your expectations. This is how we're going to fix it and go forward.
Most successful events are like a duck on a pond, just smooth where everybody can see it, but underneath the water, that duck is paddling like crazy.
Yes.
And you just don't notice it. You're like, wow, those people have their stuff together. Didn't even see a ripple in the water at all.
Yes. And a lot of that, a system helps a lot. And I know I've said that before, but a system helps so much. And it was a hard thing for me to make myself do, because I don't like a system. I don't really like a whole lot of structure and rigorousness, but it's the only way to execute something really complicated, I think.
And we preach system, Trinity and I preach systems a lot to people because it'll save hours, money, but it'll save hours off your life. And then if it'll save you 3 hours a week, Do you want to go sell more? Do you want to go hang out with a family? Do you want to take a nap? Whatever it is, but those 3 hours are yours. So we love systems. What is the first couple of things you guys learned when you got going with Rockstar Connect that needed to be systematized?
Certainly when you are using somebody else's product, like Facebook or anything like that, because they are regularly changing their parameters, but it has to be done the same way every time on your end, you have to have a system. Because if you're posting 20 and 30 and 50 events, certainly it needs to be done the same way every time, that week, that day, that month, until Facebook changes something or until Google changes something. And if you don't do it the same way every single time, you'll have one event that looks very different from the rest of them, or didn't get publicized the same way, or, you know. So anything having to do with something that belongs to somebody else. And in communication, it needs to be a system. You need to be regularly reaching out to your clients and have that on a schedule, because if you once you have more than a few, you're not going to remember everybody who is your customer. And if you don't have it in a regularly scheduled thing, there's going to be somebody that you forget. And then 6 months later, you'll go, oh, wait, I haven't talked to that person in a really long time. And you call them and they go, oh, you forgot about me, huh?
What do you need? Yeah.
What do you want? Right, exactly.
The big event you guys do are Tuesdays from 2 to 4 Eastern time, called Threemartini Lunch.
Yes.
And there's 10 to 15 panelists on the screen when you log on. Some people stay for an hour. Some new people come in at 3. Some people stay the whole time. But you'll have hundreds of attendees on the call that you can't see. And then it's live on Facebook pages throughout the country.
Yes.
How did you guys figure that out?
We wanted a way to present a positive message and we started this in March. So March, I think 13th was our first episode. We wanted a way to bring these minds together who had something good to say, because Steven and I were getting overwhelmed with the negativity that was out there. I mean, it was just so much hard news, and it was one disappointing and discouraging day after another. And there's only so many motivational things on YouTube that you can watch from, coaches and things like that are more geared toward, I guess what just gets served to me is more geared toward a spiritual approach, where, if you're running a business, you need to know that the business environment is going to be okay in the end, right? I mean, yes, there's an awakening, and yes, all of this stuff is happening, and there's an inner world versus an outer world and politics and all of that. But for those of us that are small business owners, we just need to know, but we need to know that we're going to be able to continue doing small business, and to know that there is a path forward. Because it felt initially like we were all just going to be left to the wind, cut off at the knees, and forgotten about. And we wanted to bring something really, a different message than that, and have, not just coming from us, because we're just 2 people in Raleigh, North Carolina. We needed more than us, other people to come on with us and say, yes, here's our plan going forward. Here's how we're going to attack it. Here's, good, lighthearted, fun things that we're doing to stay connected, to stay ahead of the game, to know what's going on. And we've gotten a really positive response from it so far. Thank goodness.
I know there's a lot of small business owners that are looking, either wanting to or needing to do seminars or webinars to keep in touch with their referral partners, clients, and just keep their name out. What kind of, even if they just want to do a singular event, whether they put on Facebook Live or not, and maybe they just get 15 or 18 people there, knowing what you guys have seen, pro and con, what kind of recommendations and tips would you give somebody looking to do just a one-off seminar to just stay in touch with their people?
I would schedule it in advance. Give yourself a couple weeks to get the word out and promote and remind people. If you try to do it the week ahead of time, you're going to have your best friend and maybe your brother join you. And that's about it. You need time to get the word out, let it sink in, let people arrange their calendars. And I mean, even when everybody's home by themselves, like you just need lead time. So certainly enough preparation in advance, as well as getting the word out across multiple channels. So don't just rely on Facebook. Don't just rely on LinkedIn. Use Facebook and LinkedIn and message boards and emails and word of mouth and asking your people to spread the word. I mean, we all have we have this common mind, how you can feel when somebody's staring at you. There's this sort of feeling, and when somebody invents something on one side of the world, seemingly somebody else seems to invent it the same thing on the other side. It's this group mind thing that we have. So the more minds that you put in this idea that you're having this event, the more people that know about it, the better it's going to be received.
Because we all want to think, ooh, I'm going to have 25 people. I bet I can sign up 18 of them. And that's not going to happen. So what kind of expectations should they have for the event and for following up after the event with the attendees?
I think it really depends on who you are and what your content is and the job that you did in promoting it. So if you have really gone above and beyond, and I wouldn't expect much from your first one unless you are not even a rock star like one of my clients, but a Miley Cyrus rock star, right? Or whomever, right? Unless you are a true well-known entity, I would expect maybe 5 to 10, maybe 20 people coming to your first one, and to have real connections with maybe 3 to 5 at the other side of it. And if you don't have any, don't be disappointed. Just keep doing it.
Yes.
Because if you had 20 people coming to your first one, they appreciated your content. And I mean, they know you well enough to be able to attend. And so we invite those people, ask them to tell other people about it, and maybe change your sales tactic if you didn't get any business out of it.
In the first event Trinity and I did, we had 3 people, 2 were paid, 1 turned into a client. So that was kind of cool. But we took a look at everything, and the day all of a sudden the heavens opened up and it rained. So we kind of didn't know if that was a factor or not. And then we tried another one. It was a little bit better. Then we got asked to be a presenter on somebody else's event, which got us in front of more people, got us a client that way. And I've learned on referrals, they come from relationships, and relationships are frequency and recency. So you're absolutely correct. Doing something one time, not going to work.
Right. It has to be regular, and you have to be committed to it. I mean, the first couple times, it's the same way with anything, right? The first time you played golf, you sucked at it.
Yes.
The first time you played tennis, you had no idea what you were doing. What are the lines for? You don't know. You don't know until you do it. So you really need to do things several times before you can expect to see any success with it. I mean, practice it in the mirror, record it 8 times, but still when you get in front of somebody, you're going to have to do it several times, but until you know, okay, here's where I go.
And they really should plan almost something once a quarter. Again, it probably depends on what it is, but at least once a quarter to get 4 under your belt, right? And then you'll start to see, like you had mentioned earlier, it's all about data. Right. And if you do 4 of them, my guess is you'll get a sense of, man, Tuesday. So you do 1 Tuesday at 9, 1 Thursday at 2, 1 virtual, 1 in Raleigh, 1 in, however you want to mix those up and take a look at it and see. But you're right. It is all about the data, isn't it?
It is.
So we are right now, you know what, I've quit guessing where we are in COVID-19. I don't even know if we're halfway. I don't know if we're at the end of it. We're just still in it.
We're in week 16.
Yeah, I know.
So whatever progress that is, week 16.
There you go. So we're still going virtual, and I see this in BNI meetings, the fatigue. Yeah. Of course, and those are every week, and we pay money to be part of that. Are you seeing a lot of different faces lately? Are the same faces still showing up with that big smile and working as hard? What are you guys seeing?
we're seeing about a half and half. We see people who come back and who are seeing really good positive results from it. We're also seeing a lot of new faces, and we're welcoming to everybody. We'd love for you all to jump into virtual meetings and have, join us. There's a lot to be gained from it. And especially, if you're feeling stuck in your house, come join us. It's nice to have some interaction with some folks and have a good conversation.
And we were talking earlier, it can't get any easier for people to attend a networking event than today.
Right. They can't. You just click and log in. I mean, you can join the conversation either on video or not. You don't even have to have your hair done. You can use your voice. We'd love to hear from you.
You know what? I meant to bring this up earlier. So here are a couple of my pet peeves on virtual networking. And again, this is just me. But when people are at a networking, a business event that they're supposed to be there anyways, and they don't turn their damn video on, tells me two things. One is I don't give a crap about what anybody's talking about. I don't want to be here. And my second question is, are they even in the room when they turn their video off?
Well, that's interesting. We've had some folks who initially didn't have their video on, and then when they turned their video on, we go, oh, I know why your video wasn't on. Either they were driving, right? And they're listening and talking like it's a phone call and chiming in, which I would rather you not turn your camera on while you're driving.
Yep.
Right? Or they, their house is a mess or whatever. So I think there's a multitude of reasons why you wouldn't have your camera on. Maybe your lighting's terrible. Maybe your screen is cracked. Maybe, there's any number of reasons. I would love to see your face, but I'm happy to have you join the conversation either way.
You're way too nice. I think you should turn your damn camera on because your company has a meeting every Tuesday morning at 9:00. Yes. You should be prepared. Don't be in your car. Right. Just again, I've got a golf shirt and shorts on. That's all like we talked about earlier. That's all you can just put on a top that looks reasonably professional or presentable, and you're done. Have flip-flops on, sandals, who cares? But yeah.
Nobody even knows if you're wearing pants. So
I know, and nobody cares.
Oh, nobody cares. Just don't stand up.
Because when we first started, it was everybody's trying to be professional. Now you see cats walking across the keyboards, and I feel for the parents with kids at home. Yeah, and they're both mom and dad are both working from home. They're both on the computer trying to raise kids, keep kids. It's hard enough raising kids. But when everybody's at home and you can't go anywhere and you got to be on your computer, I feel for the parents who have little kids at home.
So we made an exception for that, or a policy, I guess, for that. For our evening events, we said if the evening event gets interrupted by a child or a pet, you have to introduce them.
Nice.
Right. Yeah. So show us the kid, tell us their name, show us the cat. We want to see him. Because who doesn't love kitties and babies, especially when they belong to not you. Yeah. Not me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, and I'm fine with kids because everybody knows there is no choice.
Right.
You're home trying to do some work on a camera with kids, and you know what? God love you for doing that. So bring the kid over and just wave and, don't make it 10 minutes long, but just, wave and, life's going to happen. We get that. But it's the video, the people that don't turn it on. And I've actually come up with a fundraiser. I'll share this with you that each group could do. Because a lot of the B&I groups, which is Business Networking International, it's going to be another at least 6 to 8 weeks before we can even meet in person.
Yeah.
And a lot of groups are starting to take money from $5 or $10 every couple of weeks. So when they do get back together, it's going to be a kick-ass party. Mm-hmm. So here's my fundraiser idea. And I promise you the next event you have, it'll make at least $5. You have to give $1 for every time you start talking and you're muted. Okay, because you should be smart enough to look right next to your name to see that red microphone with the dang slasher, right? So it's $1 if you start talking and you're muted, and it's $1 if you unmute yourself and go, "Can you guys hear me? Can everybody hear me?" Dude, we heard you the first time when you joined. Yeah. So laugh about that next time, but I'm telling you, it's an easy money maker.
I like it.
It's
I love it. How do
$5 a
you do
meeting.
invoicing for that
Yep.
online? How do you do that? You say like, here's my PayPal, I'm requesting it.
Yep. It's an easy $5 moneymaker every meeting.
I like it.
Yep. Especially people who are on their cell phone, because you see them leaning in with their big fat thumb trying to hit that button. That stuff just cracks me up, but it's a given to raise money. So I share that with everybody. Customer service, client relationship manager. Customer service is a lost art.
It is a lost art.
It used to be back in the day. It was Disney that wrote the book on customer service. Happiest place on earth. You go there. Companies were going to Disney for training. How do you do that? And now it seems like it's Chick-fil-A, my pleasure, right? They don't have a $1 menu meal if people pay attention to that, but people go through their 6 days a week that they're open. And I think they're the second highest revenue of fast food places behind McDonald's, and they're open 52 days less a year, than everybody else. So I love that part of it. It's a dying breed. I'm a McDonald's guy because I'm a sucker for a $1 menu pretty much anywhere. And man, people just, the customer service part of it. So you live in that world. What tips for small business owners with a storefront or any type of employee that's dealing with a customer, just how to let them know that we're half glad you're here?
Certainly, I think that your initial impression makes a big difference. So certainly nobody should be grumpy at the front of the house, whether you're in a brick and mortar or whether you're answering the phone. Smile. Just when you're on the phone, speak with a smile, because you can hear it come across the phone, right? And the same thing is when you're dealing with challenges, when you have somebody who's not happy with your service, meet them with compassion and understanding and listening and a smile inside, so that you are not saying, so it doesn't devolve into a toddler argument. But you said this, but you said that, and I didn't. It doesn't get anybody anywhere, right? What needs to happen is the person who has the issue needs to be heard, and then they need to have their needs addressed. Whether that's, I apologize, I can't meet that need and I need you to refer you to somebody else, or I didn't understand that was your need in the first place. Now I know that I can meet it, or I apologize, I fell short. Now if you give me another chance, I will guarantee you I can meet that need. One of those ways, is a way to resolve an issue. But I think that kindness always matters. You have to meet them with kindness. If you're cold coming out of the gate, it's easy for customers to just turn around and walk away. Their money spends the same everywhere.
And I think we talked about this. I bet it's been about a month ago on Threemartini Lunch. Stephen had asked the question. We're talking about customers, and I'm a firm believer that the customer's not always right, but their issue is absolutely right in that moment.
Right.
So if I'm working at a restaurant and you ordered are you a Diet Coke drinker or a Coke drinker at all? Sweet tea, anything, no soft drink. You're killing me here, Sarah.
No soft drinks.
Okay, then let's pretend you're a soft drink drinker.
Okay.
And you order a Coke. And we bring you out a Coke, you take a sip, and to you, it tastes flat.
Mm-hmm.
To you, and that's all that matters.
Right.
And I'm your waiter, and I come by, you flag me down, say, I believe my Coke tastes flat. Can I get a new one? Or however you say that, And if the first thing out of my mouth is, it can't be, we just changed the canister, I've lost you.
Right.
Even if you're right, even if you're wrong, if I acknowledge that, you know what? Let me look back real quick, make sure everything's good. I'll bring you a new one. Even if you're wrong, but you're right that the customer is mad for a reason or upset.
And those are just the ones that bother to tell you.
Yes.
Right. If you have one person who is complaining to you that something's not right, most likely that has happened before. And whoever it happened to previously didn't bother to say anything. You know, it's the rare breed who will actually bring it up, because most people don't want confrontation.
Yeah.
Right? I am not the one to bring it up. Usually if Steven and I are out together, Steven's the one to bring it up, because he knows that he's stronger in those, you know, he's willing to, and I don't like to.
Yeah, and he's got, and this is a compliment if he's still listening, he's got that voice and that presence where you're being told you're wrong and you're smiling like, you know what, sir, I am, and I thank you for telling me that. He's just got that delivery of, I'm not gonna chew you out in public. I'm not gonna show you up, but I'm gonna let you know I'm not real happy. And that's an art to do that. So,
it is. And I have learned so much from him about how to approach those, because I do actually say something some of the time, but previously I would be the majority of customers who would not say anything, and I just wouldn't come back. I wouldn't spend my money with you. I'd never tell you why.
We forget to put ourselves in the customer's shoes. We just assume everybody else has to be perfect.
Right.
And we really don't, because it's the customer that's wrong. And we forget that, that I stopped going to that store because of X. Right. And we just seem to forget, well, nobody else can be wrong. Yeah. But again, you're right. It's just your body language. I used to run a bowling center back in the day, and we had cameras all over the place, no audio. And I told my employees, I don't need audio. I can just look at you.
Yeah.
If you walk up to a customer with his shoulder slumped down and like, God, what am I going to help you with? I don't even want to be here. Your body language says it all.
Right. That's it. You've hit the nail on the head. So certainly customers need to be met with a smile and warmth and understanding and an air of helpfulness. And if you're not there to help, why are you in business? Yep.
And I learned early on that if you walk into the lion's den, you're going to get a whole lot more respect from the customer.
Yes.
Whole lot more. And their tone generally will change. Like you mentioned earlier, if you walked up to them and, if there's a chair open next to them, sat down, said, how can I help? What happened? Because the whole point is not to solve it right there. The point is to acknowledge it and then backtrack it.
Right.
Yeah. And then figure out how we got there, but don't just start pointing fingers and stuff like that. People just don't get that. So what proactive customer service stuff? We talked about the smile on the phone. If you're teaching a class, what else would you tell business owners who have people that are front facing customers to think about?
Follow up. You have to follow up. If somebody comes in and they're undecided initially, right? Let's say you're selling cars, right? And somebody comes in, they do a test drive, they don't buy that day. Or you're selling houses. They check out the house, they don't buy, they decide not to write an offer that day. Well, by the time, in real estate especially, by the time they decide to write an offer, that property is probably not there in Raleigh anymore because it runs really fast.
Yes, it
does.
But
if you haven't heard from them in a day or so, I mean, certainly real estate is a shorter follow-up, but a longer sales cycle. In cars, it's a longer follow-up, but a shorter sales cycle. But if you haven't heard from a customer in a while who was on the fence initially, that follow-up, that getting back in touch will most likely be whether or not they buy.
Because if they're buying a car, they likely would have driven a little bit further down Capitol Boulevard, turned right into another car dealership, looked at something, and they may have followed up with them, right?
Right. Or, right, exactly. So even if they went to 5 or 6 car dealerships in a day and went and test drove a bunch of cars, probably the one who follows up in kindness, not chasing after the dollar, but did you find the vehicle you were looking for? Is there any other way I can help you? Yeah. That is, if all of the things being equal, which obviously vehicles aren't, but all of the things being equal, that's probably going to be a deciding factor.
And that's always a good time when you're on the phone or Zooming now, of course, with clients. At the end of the conversation, just like, oh yeah, Sarah, real quick, what'd you think of the experience when you pulled onto our lot? It just something,
right.
Nobody knows your business like your customers. Nobody. How has COVID-19 changed getting new business for you guys? Because the world is Zoom right now.
It actually has changed everything. I mean, we have pivoted immensely. And I told Stephen this initially when all of it started. I said, it's like trying to turn a cruise ship around in harbor while building the atom bomb. It is not impossible, but it's really, really hard. So I think things are still at this point up in the air. We don't know when it's all going to open. We don't know what the landscape's going to look like, what's going to be, condemned or condoned, or, we don't know. You don't know. I mean, and at this point we've got plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, and plan E. And it depends on how it goes.
You may get to E first before A, just depending on what the next week is like, right?
Right, exactly. So I couldn't even give you probably analytics on what it looks like now, because it is up in the air.
When was the last time you, Sarah Elliott, went to a networking event as Sarah Elliott, not working the front door?
I love it. It's my favorite. I love meeting people. And initially, this is actually pretty funny. When we first started doing it, I had massive stage fright. Just could not. I would turn 6 shades of pink and couldn't speak to anybody and didn't have a word to say and just stumbled all over myself. And it probably took, 6 months or so, maybe not even that long, of doing it regularly to be able to speak to people I didn't know, introduce myself, and come out of my shell. Now, I can put a dress on, I can put my red lipstick on and my high heels, and I'm good, and I'm gone, and I love it. I love it.
You go as Rockstar Connect?
I usually go as just me. I have my name tag on, but somebody might ask, somebody might not, but I introduce me as me.
Okay. But if they say, what do you do? Is it?
Oh, I run the company. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. They
They
sense by your presence, but are you going as representing Rockstar Connect sometimes, or different things?
Usually I just go representing me. If somebody asks, I will say, yeah, but I'm here in support of the host.
Nice. Okay.
Always at somebody else's event. Like, I am here in support of the host. I want to make sure that it's all going smooth and I can fix anything that doesn't go smooth, but you got to see it with your own eyes. But otherwise, I'm a participant. I am, one of the crowd. And if you happen to ask me, I'll tell you what I do. But.
Are you like a chef that goes to another restaurant when you, as an event planner and event executioner, when you go to another live event, is your head just spinning, just looking at things? Ooh, this, and wouldn't do that. Love this.
Yeah, I really try to stay in the place of an observer. Everybody's process is different. So everybody who puts on an event has a different procedure. They have different goals in mind. They did certain things that I would not have thought of doing, and they didn't do things that I think are pretty crucial. So certainly I'm taking note of those things, and maybe some of the things that I thought were crucial aren't necessary, right? But there's a lot of things that other people have thought of and considered that I go, oh, we definitely need to do that. Now I know, I've seen how well that functions at their event, and I can pull that off across the country at our event. So we're going to do that.
But it's funny what you end up observing when you go to, and doesn't have to be one of your competitor events, but just a similar event. Mm-hmm. You walk in, you start, looking around.
Even having organized events, we do them all at restaurants and bars for the most part. So even going into a bar or a restaurant and watching the way that their staff functions gives me some insight into better hosting events. Even, if you're open-minded enough, watching the organization of anything, even watching the way they run NASCAR races gives you insight into better organization for what you're doing. You can watch it you can watch the orchestra work, if you know what you're looking for, especially if there are good if there's a good camera crew and they're taking behind the scenes shots and there's no audio and you're just watching them dance across their stage, which is their, backstage essentially. It's amazing. And you can watch the conductor, the manager do whatever they're doing. And no matter what you're looking at, whether it's restaurants or sporting events or retail shops, anything, there's one person usually controlling it, directing people of what to do, making sure that it's done. And everybody else has enough respect and kindness and trust in that person to do what they're being directed to do. And it usually comes off without a hitch. But you can tell at the same time, if the manager's a jerk, nothing runs right.
Yeah.
You know?
But going back to what you said earlier, is there's always something to learn somewhere.
Always.
If you go in with that open mind, you're going to walk out way better than you were when you walked in.
Absolutely.
All right. So where can everybody find you guys?
So you can check out our website, which is www.rockstarconnect.com. We are also on Facebook. So that is facebook.com/rockstarconnect. You can see all of our events. If you really feel the need, you can give me a call at our 800 number. I'm happy to chat with you.
And
that is also on our website.
Yep. And they can chat you up if they want to be an attendee or maybe open up a market for you.
Absolutely. I'd love to hear from you.
Cool. We like that. Sarah, thank you for the time today. We've enjoyed it very much. And thanks for sharing your knowledge of events and customer service with all the business owners that follow us. And I wish you guys luck in after week 16 of COVID for however long it lasts.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed it.
And we'll see everybody next time on our Wired to Change podcast.